This first set of theories is called modernization, and let me just say this before we go on. This is the theory. If you work in the United States government doing foreign aid stuff, if you work at the UN, if you work at the World Bank, the IMF, sort of this is the dominant theory in the world right now is modernization theory, which is just basically capitalism. The problem, it says, why are some countries poor? And the answer that modernization theory gives is poor countries lack industry. In other words, ways to make money. Could I build a factory in Burkina Faso tomorrow? I could build it, but it wouldn't really work. There's not electricity. There's not a steady workforce. There's not good ports. It just doesn't have the ability to sort of do that. It'd be like me saying to you when you were 17 years old in high school, I'm going to hire you. You're going to be the vice president of Amazon. Okay, great. Now you've shown up. You're a smart kid, 17 years old, but can you be the vice president of Amazon? The answer is no. You don't really have the industry, the capital. You don't have this sort of understanding about how business works or how these things work. You kind of learn that as you go. And essentially the argument is that poor countries just don't have the ability. You can put a factory there, but it won't work. So how should you target foreign aid? It should be capital for industry. Pretty simple. And by this, they mean two things. One, it should be just money. You need money to start a business, and expertise. How do you do this in the right way? This is very similar to a small business startup loan or a gift. Before you ever make that first dollar in your business, you have to spend a lot of money to get licenses, to get a place to operate, to get equipment, to get training, all that kind of stuff. And then you get your first dollar of income. That's the same thing they're arguing here. Is before Burkina Faso can start making money, it's going to need to invest money, and it's going to need expertise to do that. And this is to be spent on economic infrastructure only. Don't spend it on schools. Don't spend it on healthcare. That comes along later. It doesn't mean those things aren't important. It just means those are the things you do later. First, you need to get your economic house in order. So what the focus is on is setting up political and economic institutions, and by this we mean here capitalism in particular, free trade, that attract foreign direct investment. So you want to think, if you're Burkina Faso, you want to think, here's this guy out here in the world, and he's got billions of dollars. That's why he's got a hat. So he's got money, making it rain all over the place. He's got $1 billion. You want him to invest in Burkina Faso. That's foreign direct investment. What do you need to do in your country to get him to bring his money into your country? So things like free trade, things like private property rights, things like having an infrastructure and electricity so the factory that they build is going to work. Those are the things that you want to focus on. This is a thing called, we talked about this a little bit before, the Washington Consensus. All right, this is great. This is going to be sort of the dominant theory. You just got to have the ways to make money before you can make money. Criticisms of this, and I'm just going to run through a few very quickly. There's a lot of things going on here. It's the last day of class. I don't want to beat you over the head with these kind of things. So we're just going to roll through these criticisms. There's not a lot of incentive to help poor states to industrialize. Like inside, right, we say, oh, I really want them to not be poor anymore. On the other hand, if Burkina Faso is a stronger economy, they might start to compete with our businesses. Why would the United States invest money or send money to Burkina Faso so that they can turn around and be competitors with us? Another problem there is that this is a very risky investment for foreign direct investment. If I'm that billionaire on another page, there are lots of countries that want me to invest there. I'm probably going to invest my money where I'm going to get the most return. Is Burkina Faso going to be that place? The answer is no. It's a very risky investment. So it's really hard to get that process started that we're talking about. Another problem is that it may lead to neocolonialism or charges of it, where it's just essentially the US and Europe are basically taking over the economies of these small countries. The old school, they used to do it with military back in the 1800s. Now they do it with finance. So there's charges of that sort of paternalistic neocolonialism. One more critique is that it undermines local cultures, local businesses. It's with something called the Walmart effect. When a Walmart moves into your neighborhood, it artificially lowers the prices. so that people start to shop at the Walmart, and then all the local businesses go out of business because they can't compete with multi-billion-dollar Walmart. And then when those businesses go out, then Walmart's the only game in town. Same thing here is as you have these multinational corporations come into Burkina Faso, the local industries, the sort of new things, they can't compete. And so they sort of go away, and now Burkina Faso is just a subsidiary of, whatever that company is. So these are sort of the critiques of this. But as you saw in that case of Vietnam, maybe they work pretty well. So that's your first set of theories. This, again, it wouldn't be crazy for you to pick this because this is really the dominant theory in the world these days. Okay, so now let's talk about another one.